Here we go. All right. Cool. One more minute, and then we'll get started. All right, so we've got our kettlebell, we've got jump rope, so I can do some cardio. Okay. I feel like my skipping rope always gets all tangled up on itself. All right. Okay. So, welcome to the workout today. So, we're going to be doing some kettlebell work. It'll be a combo of conditioning and strength for those who want to join in. That's great. If you want to just follow along this workout later, I'm going to post it to my YouTube channel as well. That is also Ward's Way to Fitness in case you're not following me there. And I'll be posting a few more videos there. Well, with lockdown here in HRM, I figure I've got some time. I might as well put it into making some more content for the next little while. So this workout, we're going to be hitting mostly EMOMs. So we've got every minute on the minute. And that basically means that we're going to have a minute to finish whatever work our target is, and then we'll move on to the next exercise, and we'll cycle through a few exercises, or it'll depend. I'm going to have a few different EMOMs in store for you guys for this workout. So our warm-up is going to be 8 minutes, so we're going to have 4 exercises, which we will cycle through twice. We're going to do 1 minute of cardio. So cardio is going to be your choice. You can grab a jump rope, which is what I will be using. If you want to hit jumping jacks, so just feet apart, hands apart, that'll be great. You could do high knees if you want, just driving those knees up. Butt kicks is another great alternative. Just anything that kind of like gets your body moving and gets you started. And then minute 2, we're going to move into some groiners. So that's going to be a push-up position. We want to make sure we have nice, strong posture through the shoulders. So probably a side view is going to be better here, right? So we're nice and tight, and then we're going to step that foot up towards the opposite hand, reach that elbow down towards the floor, come up into a twist, and then repeat to the other side. And take your time with those for that minute. It's not about speed. It's about getting the movement done. Okay, so we'll hit 1 minute of those. Then we're going to do another minute of cardio. Okay. So again, if you want to hit jump rope again, you've got a cardio machine. You can feel free to hop on that. Jumping jacks, high knees, whatever. And then walkouts. So folding from the hip, on the hands, out to that push-up position, down to the floor, walking on the hands, back up. Again, keeping the core nice and tight, keeping everything so that we're not piking the hips as we come forward, on falling anywhere through the movement, controlled walking on the hands out to that push-up position. All right, so that's our warm-up. I'm going to set up my interval timer here, so I just have a wonderful little app that's going to time these sets for me. I feel like that mic got a little bit closer to my face. There we go. All right. So, minute cardio, minute groiners, another minute cardio, minute of walkouts, and we're going to cycle through that 2 times for 8 minutes total. That's going to get our heart rate up, get this party started. All right, here we go. Oop. So again, the goal is not to hit a really high speed right now. We just want to get the body moving, get some blood flow, get that heart rate up a little bit. Whoa. Some days are just not your day with the cardio, hey? And we're going to move right into those groiners. So again, push-up position, step your foot outside your hand, inside elbow reaches down for the floor, and then up into a nice twist, and repeat to the other side. So this should help loosen you up through the hips, get your mid-back moving a little bit. Again, not about speed. We're not looking for reps here. The goal is a nice controlled movement and loosening up the body. And then right back to that cardio. Try to focus on breathing through your nose as much as possible. Oops. I'm really feeling those calves already, guys. I don't know about you. If you're jumping rope. Oh. All right. So walkouts are our next one. Again, folding from the hips. Walking out on those hands to that high plank push-up position. Down to the floor. Pushing off those hands. Standing it back up. So that's going to loosen us up through the posterior chain. Get the core and the shoulders working. You can always drop to your knees if you have to as you're coming up from that push-up. My pecs are sore from yesterday's workout. Okay, 3 seconds. And we're back to cardio. So you should be starting to notice a little bit of a sweat. Whoops. You know what? I'm going to switch to jumping jacks. You can also regress to just stepping with those jumping jacks if you're finding the hops are a little bit too much. All right, back to those groiners. So this is one of my favorite stretches, because it really gets just so much loosened up and activated. And it targets a lot of areas that tend to be a pretty big problem for most people. All right, let's high knees this time. "20 seconds to go." Almost there. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and another set of walkouts. I think I need some new shoes. Really feeling my feet right now. So if your feet are ever bothering you while you're working out, there is a good chance that it's time to replace your footwear. I've had these guys for about a year, so they are a little overdue. 15 seconds. All right. 3, 2, 1. Good. All right. Whew. So that should get your heart rate up there. I got a little sweat happening myself. Hopefully you've got yourself some water nearby. Always a good idea to make sure that we stay hydrated. Actually, I feel like maybe I need to turn that down a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little better. Okay. So this is a new mic. This is only my second stream with it, so I'm kind of still playing with the settings, trying to figure out where it's going to be at its best volume for you guys. So any feedback there is greatly appreciated. You can let me know in the chat, or if you're watching this after the fact, you can let me know in the comments down below. So, all right. So my heart rate's still a little elevated, which is where it should be after the warm-up. So our strength section today is going to be an EMOM, just like the warm-up. So every minute on the minute. What we're going to be doing is a press variation and a squat variation. So what we want is 3 presses and 5 squats. We're just going to hit the one side on 1 minute and then the other side on the next minute. We're going to do 5 sets for each side, so it's going to be 10 minutes total. So the goal is to keep this relatively heavy if possible. If you don't have extra weight to add and you're finding that those reps feel like they're a little bit too easy, feel free to scale them up, okay? If your kettlebell is a little bit heavier, you're finding these reps are too high, you can scale those reps down instead. So if we're going to scale them up, maybe we hit 6 and 10 instead, or maybe like 4 and 8. It doesn't really matter. There's not like a set number. Just find a number that's relatively challenging, but that you're still able to finish inside of that 1 minute block. So we're looking at about like 30 seconds of work for each arm, and that's going to get more and more challenging as we hit each set, because the rest is not going to be quite enough to give you a full recovery on every set. So, all right, so I will be hitting 3 coil presses with 5 rotational squats. Okay, so I'm going to demo what those look like so you guys can see. So kettlebell is up on the chest. We've got the right arm to start us off, so right leg is going to come forward. We're going to turn toward the right, keeping the core nice and tight. As we press, we're going to rotate to the left. And then as we come back down, we rotate back to the right. Okay? So hit 3 of those. If we're not comfortable with that, you could go with 3 straight up presses. Again, keeping everything nice and tight. Again, if that's still, if your weight's a little bit heavy and you still want to hit those reps, if you want to do a push press, you can get that dip and push as another alternative. Okay? So a couple of options there. Basically, we want to be working the shoulder. That's our primary target with that exercise. I like to incorporate the core, getting that coiling motion involved because it just fires up a little bit more musculature. And that way, I also have to deal with slightly lighter weights, so I don't have to worry about the fact that this might be a little bit light for that many, or for the target that I have for this workout. All right, so after you've finished your 3 presses, or if you're doing 1 or 2, whatever, scaling it up or down, right? Then you're going to move right into your squats. Okay, so bringing that kettlebell up. In this case, I want to shift my weight toward my right leg as I come down, shift it back so I'm facing the front as I stand up. This is going to put a little bit more emphasis on my right leg for this set. Okay, if we're not comfortable with that movement, straight up squats are an acceptable alternative here. If you're struggling with that front rack position, ideally your fist should be right underneath of your chin, elbow is pointed slightly forward, and the kettlebell is just resting on the shoulder. If you're struggling to hold that position, feel free to switch to a goblet squat instead. So just picking that kettlebell up with both hands and hitting your squat here instead. Okay. Again, if that is also too much, you could also go for some air squats. That is another acceptable alternative here. All right, so either way, we're going to be hitting 10 minutes, alternating arms. Okay, so you've got 3 reps. I'm going to hit coil press with 5 coil squats. Okay, again, it's just getting that rotational movement involved in the pattern. This is going to really jack my heart rate up as well as challenge my strength curve a little bit. All right. Choose your variation that's most appropriate for you based on the demos that I just gave and how your body's responding to the movements as we go through. Feel free to scale this workout, okay? Like you need to make sure that it is appropriate to where you're at with these movement patterns. If you're unfamiliar with these coil movements, they can be fairly challenging, so don't try to dive right into them if you're not used to them yet. Regress back to just a straight up press or a straight up squat instead, and kind of like find your level of difficulty. We want it to be challenging, but not so much so that you get frustrated and feel like you can't do the workout. All right, so let's get ourselves set up. So no rest. Here we go. All right, so 10 sets set up on my interval timer. This is a free app that I have for my phone, FYI. So if you don't have a timer of your own, you could always just grab this free interval app and do these workouts at your own leisure. All right, who's ready? Let's get it done. All right. So really focusing on keeping everything nice and tight as we rotate and press. Same thing with those squats, keeping that core nice and tight, keeping the weight mostly to this right leg. 26 seconds of work. So with each set here, this is going to get a little bit more challenging, right? Set 1's always the easy one. It's usually as you get up to around that like 5 or 6 set mark that the accumulation of the work that you're doing starts to really hit you. So particularly if you have a weight that's appropriately challenging, or if you're hitting a number of reps that's actually challenging for you. All right, here we go again. Oops, other way. All right, feels good. So with the built-in rest periods here, that is a good chance for you to grab some water if you need it. Making sure that you're staying hydrated throughout the day is very important, but particularly during a workout, you want to make sure that you have some water on hand in case you need a little drink. All right, back to the right arm. Ooh. I lost my balance there on one of those reps. So that can happen, particularly when you're engaged in more neurally demanding movement. So in this case, like I've incorporated more planes of movement into the pattern, making it more challenging for your brain. That means that you need to be more aware of how your body is moving through space and making sure that you're achieving the right positions. All right, 2 down, 3 to go. Feeling pretty good. Legs aren't too sore from my workout the other day, so that's nice. And the soreness I felt in my pecs, the start of the workout's not really hitting me too hard right now, so that's nice. Sometimes with those overhead movements, you'll notice the chest a little bit more. All right, back to the right side. Whew. Feeling that. I wouldn't mind having a slightly heavier bell for this, but that's a decent weight. Not going to complain. All right, moving on to the left arm again. Here we go. Whew. That's all right. My zone's reading rather nicely for this workout so far. Seeing a lot of yellow on the report. So that means I'm in that like 80 to 90% of max heart rate zone. It's a great place to be if your goal, is to shed some body fat, which is the current goal for this guy. Whew. Oh. So one of the reasons I recommended earlier breathing through your nose is it's a much more controlled breathing rate. If you're breathing in through the nose, you can breathe out through the mouth, but if you can breathe out through your nose as well, it's much more efficient. It actually gives you better oxygen, slows the breathing down, and you can actually recover better between sets. Let's go with the left arm now. Whew. That's 4. We got one more for each side. So breathing through the nose makes a huge difference for controlling the heart rate. Can really drive recovery a lot better if you can control your breathing. Can get very challenging as the workout gets more difficult to breathe that way. The higher your heart rate goes, the harder it will be to keep that nasal breathing happening. All right, last set for the right arm. Let's do this. All right, very nice, very nice. Oh, right on that edge where I'm almost pushing hard enough that I can't talk and finish the exercises at the same time. All right, we've just got that left arm left, and then we're all done with this strength section. All right, good stuff. That is strength. All right. So, excellent work on that section. So, we're going to finish with some cardio. We're actually going to hit the cardio as an AMRAP instead. So, we're going to just do 6 minutes. All right. So, quick and dirty. That's how I most like to work out. And so, it's going to be 6 reps of each movement. Okay. And we're going to cycle through those movements for 6 minutes. So, trying to get as many sets as we can done. So, you should be able to finish like 1 to 2 rounds of the 6 of each movement inside of the 1 minute block each time, and try to hold that pace as you work your way through the workout. So we're looking at probably like 8 to 12 rounds is where I'd like to see you fall. Okay, that will be a tough pace to maintain, so like scale appropriately. And we want to make sure that the workout is challenging, but not so challenging that you're like redlining the whole time. Although with 6 minutes, you could probably be in the red zone for a good chunk of it. And the red zone is actually a reference to the my zone. So if you're not using a my zone, basically it's just like where your heart rate is like 90 to 100% of your maximum. If you're not tracking your heart rate, it's really just like where you're starting to wonder how long you'll be able to hold that level of intensity as you work your way through. So again, we're going to have 3 movements. I want to ground to overhead, squats, and burpees. So it's going to be tough. All right. Terrible combination. Your legs, shoulders, grip, like arms, everything are going to get hit with this little combination. So it's 6 ground to overhead, 6 squats, and then 6 burpees, and start again. Okay. So those 3 movements, you should be able to finish in about 30 seconds or so, right? Might be a little closer to 40, 45. That's okay. Again, finding your pace. If you can hold a round per minute as a pace for this, you'll be doing pretty well. If you can break that round per minute, you'll be hitting a really good pace as you move through. The burpees are what's going to slow me down. I know that for a fact because they always do. I'm a bigger guy, so it's harder to hit burpees with much speed. But they are a good movement as long as you're controlling it. I'd rather see high quality reps than seeing like low quality reps just done for speed. Okay, so slow yourself down, do the movement really well before you start trying to speed the movement up in order to get more reps. Okay, always focusing on the quality. So in case you're not familiar with those 3 movements, let's get a little demo going. All right. Whew, those legs are sweaty. So for the ground to overhead, kettlebell should start somewhere in between the feet. Okay, and get a little bit of a squat. We want to stay relatively tall here. You're going to grab the top of the bell, pick it up to the chest. I like to move my hands to the outside, press that weight up overhead, back to the chest, bringing it back to the floor. Okay. So again, staying nice and tall, nice and tight. Grab it, pick it up, drive it up overhead. Okay. 6 of those. So your last rep is done when the bell hits the floor again, which means you'll have to pick the bell back up to hit your squats. Okay. So basically, we grab that bell, grab the outsides. If you want to grab the bell like so, that's fine, doesn't really matter. And we take a seat, drive the floor away. Try to keep the kettlebell off the chest, so don't relax it against you. And if you need a break, you can pause down at the bottom here, right? But we want to try to keep ourselves moving as much as possible. All right, so then after your squats, we're going to hit 6 burpees. So coming down to the floor, we want to keep the core nice and tight, putting our hands down, pushing our feet back, and then down to the floor, and then we're up, back, so pushing the floor away, bringing the feet back, stand it up, little jump at the end. Okay, so we're down and up. Make sure you get a little bit of a hop. That's what makes it a burpee, okay? Not just a calf extension. If you aren't comfortable kicking your feet back, you can step your feet back instead. So when you get down, you can step, step, and then step, step, stand. That's a fine regression for this exercise to make it your own, making sure that it's still going to get your heart rate up, but is a little bit easier for you to complete the pattern. All right. So this is going to be tough, but fun. So I'm going to set my clock up here again. Just one round this time, 6 minutes. We're going to get that heart racing. I definitely won't be talking quite so much through this piece. All right. Let's get a little hydrated before we get started. All right. So again, let's shoot for that round a minute as a pace to try to hold on to. You can push that pace faster if you're feeling comfortable with the movements. If your weight's a little bit lighter, it'll be easier to hit those higher volume numbers. If your weight's a little heavier, it's going to be harder to hit that volume. Okay, so hopefully you have a good weight selection for yourself for this workout, but can't necessarily control that as a lot of places are not carrying much stock of fitness equipment right now. So use what you've got and make it count. All right. So let's get this party started. Again, 6 minutes, 6 ground overhead, 6 squats, 6 burpees. Whoops. All right. I might have come out a little too hot. Oh boy. 3, 2, 1. Whew. All right. Excuse me. So take a moment. Try and catch your breath here. Again, focus on breathing through the nose as much as possible. That's the workout portion. We're going to do a couple of stretches here to loosen the body up before we call it a stream, but we want to focus on the mid-back and low back area, so we're going to be doing a laying crossover stretch to start us off here. So you want to lay back. You're going to keep one leg straight, so let's start with the left leg as the leg that's going to be stretched, or yes, as the side that's going to be stretched. So about a 90-degree bend in that knee. We're going to grab it with the right arm, keeping the shoulders to the floor. Bring that leg across the body, and you should feel a good stretch through the pecs and down along the side of your body, through the lats, through the core, and the low and mid back. All get a pretty good stretch here. If your glutes are tight, you may notice some stretch through the glutes as well. We want to hold that stretch for like 20-30 seconds. Switching sides. So same thing to the other side. Try to keep those shoulders to the floor as we bring that leg across the body. So this time the right leg is bent to about 90 degrees. The left leg is laying straight on the floor. And try to stretch to the point where it's slightly uncomfortable, but not to the point where it hurts. So ideally, you should still be able to take nice deep breaths as you hit that stretch. All right. I want to move through both sides of that again. So going back to that left leg. All right, so left arm straight, right leg is 90-degree bend, right leg is straight as we twist to the right side. And let's go back to that right side. So again, right arm is straight, left leg is straight, right leg bends, and pull it across the body. All right. So let's stretch out those inner thighs a little bit next. So bring your feet together, get them as close to your body as you can, and then you're going to push your knees down towards the floor from that position. You should feel a nice stretch through the groin as you hold this position. So I find that in order to really get this stretch, I have to give a little bit of active pressure to my feet, so kind of like sliding them back towards my groin a little bit more. If you can keep your feet relatively stable, you could push down on your knees, but I find like when I try to do that my feet start to slide forward and I lose the intensity of the stretch. So it really depends on just how mobile your inner thighs are. So if you can get your knees right to the ground, then you can probably utilize the pushing the knees down variation. Basically, you have to be pretty close to the floor before that variation will work very well. All right, let's get another rotational one in there. So let's cross left leg over the right, so right leg stays straight. You're going to hug that knee into the chest and then turn the torso towards that leg. So it should give you a little bit of stretch through the midsection, specifically the obliques along the sides of the abs, through the glutes on the bent leg. I find this one very challenging to keep a good rate of breathing because there's a lot of core squeeze happening with this stretch. So you want to use about at least ideally like 1 to 2 ratio. So spend at least half as much time stretching as you did working out. Generally speaking, that's best. If you can get it to 1 to 1, that's even better, but it can be very challenging to have enough time to get that done. Excuse me. All right. Now let's come back to that groin stretch for a minute. Again, try to get those feet in nice and tight, pushing the knees down towards the floor, feeling that stretch through those inner thighs. All right, moving back to that rotational stretch. And now my legs are covered with the sweat from my arms. It's a little bit more challenging to hold the stretch, but that's okay. Back to the other side. All right, here we go. That tackles most of the key areas. You can always hit some more stretches if you've got some time. And there's lots of great resources online if you need to look up some more. I'll be sharing more mobilities and stretches over the coming weeks as I share more workouts though, so feel free to just jump in every time. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you on the next stream.